So let's hear a fair assessment on why you believe that he can knock out Subriel Matias.
I already told you. I already
Because his defense?
I already explained to you the mileage that Subriel has. Subriel is 33 already. He got a lot of mileage. In boxing, you start, feeling later. You never know, and it's a lot of factors that it depends. In the first 3 rounds, 4th rounds, any fighter is possible that he can knock out.
But that could apply
the opponent. That can apply to anybody. So, yeah. But in this fight, the way also that they training for and all that. Remember, every fight is different. Every fight got their own DNA. Not all the fights are similar or the same. Non-fight styles make fights, right? So it's not the same DNA for this fight or other fights, but you train and you do the plan like Salas is doing for what you have in front of you. That's it. That's it. And it's a different animal that Puello got in front of him. And the way they doing their training and their tactics and all that is a possibility that in the first 3-4 rounds, you can see a knockout. The same way goes for Subriel too.
Right.
Subriel can come and knock out Puello in 4 rounds. That's why this fight in paper is a 65-35 because of the attributes of each other, right? In the discussion, it's 50-50. In the discussion, us, people like you, people like me, other people, is a 50-50 discussion. On paper, it's 65-35 Puello. Puello got more skills and all that, and all Subriel got, and he know it, is attack, and attack. So this is in paper, it's 65-35 for people who got knowledge of real boxing,
Yeah.
But again, that don't mean that you don't have
here's the from my knowledge, right? Because I could care less if anybody respect it or not, but I try to come to it with logic, right? And when we hear things, we could always say anything can happen in the fight because we've seen the biggest upset. Look what happened with Munguia and Cerise. That wasn't supposed to happen. It happens. Look what happened with Schofield and what's his name? Farmer got knocked out in the first round. So anything can happen, but what I like to see is like if we're using boxing knowledge to give out accurate predictions, not saying what can happen because we know anything can happen. Saying Alberto Puello will knock out, not saying I respect that's your take, but it's hard for me to respect that if you're saying that, I'm new and I don't know knowledge. Saying that he can knock out Subriel Matias don't make sense because Subriel Matias never hit the canvas. He got standing count, but he never got knocked down. Yeah, he don't got no defense, but he knocked out every opponent that stood in front of him. Alberto Puello only got 10 KOs on his record. Alberto Puello haven't got a KO in a little bit. You know what I'm saying? He's coming off, you're saying mileage, he's coming off 2 split decisions. That's 24 rounds in total. While we got someone like Subriel Matias who's coming off of a 2-round knockout and I believe a 7th round knockout. That's why my opinion is just, I respect your take, but I just don't agree with it because to me, when it comes to boxing knowledge and we're coming out with an actual accurate prediction, it don't make sense to me.
Surase got four knockouts in his record. You know who Surase is?
Surase, the one that fought Munguia?
The one that fought Munguia. 4 KOs.
Right.
The 5th was Munguia.
Right. So, but that's my point. But a prediction for that, like I said, anything can happen no matter what. Subriel could get knocked out in the first round. We don't know. Subriel could knock out Alberto in the first round. We don't know. But if we're going according to boxing knowledge to what's more likely to happen, because that's what predictions is about. It's not about gambling and going in it with your head cut off and just say, you know what, I'm just going to mini, mighty, mo. No, when you do predictions, it's about who's more likely, what's more likely the prediction, what's more likely to happen according to the history, according to how they performed, according to, even the styles you could break down. Now, of course, the night of the fight, we never know. We never know. But that's why to say that. Now, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Okay. Finish his thing.
So that's why I feel like to say that Alberto Puello win by KO is an uneducated prediction. You know what I'm saying? it's like reaching. I feel like there's more emotion involved. Not saying that it can't happen. I think it can happen. But what's the drive behind thinking that he's gonna knock out Subriel Matias outside of saying that anything can happen?
The thing about it is that nobody say he gonna knock him out. What Dulorme saying in the tape is, I believe you can knock him out. Like he believe in his guy, his training, right? That's first. Like you got to understand that part. Now, the second part about it is that, and it's some that I don't know if it's some with the generation or something like that, which is valid. I got kids probably your age, right? Is that predictions? If you imagine if I predict every fight, I'll be millionaire. I don't have to be in YouTube. I maybe be in the casinos gambling. Look, I know that nobody can predict all the fights and be perfect. Now, I can give you the outcomes. I can give you the outcomes. I can give you the possible outcomes, and I can tell you, like my partner in our program, Boxeo Urbano Network, can tell you, oh, this is my analysis, and this is where I see the fight going, right? Because if you imagine if we hit them all, we'd be millionaires right now. We'd be betting with everybody. Like nobody can do that. It's impossible because nobody bet on Surace beating Munguia the first time. And a lot of other fights, nobody think Usyk can beat Fury the first fight around. None of that, right? So, with that said, right, we have to understand that we're not a program to bring you predictions. We are programmed to give you our analysis and tell you what are the possible outcomes, what is happening, and also bring you the real information about what the business is going on back there and all that stuff, you know. And I think we are the most informative with the knowledge, and bringing the real people to our program is us. Like, but we're not there like whoever trying to be there to predict all the fights.
No,
it ain't going to happen in YouTube, you know.
What I'm saying is that
that's why I tell you got to understand the movie. You got to understand the movie, and
that's what I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand the movie.
I still appreciate what you do. Believe me. Probably in a year or two, I can see you, you know, doing the right thing. You know, doing great things, doing great things. Yes.
Right. Don't mind my camera just gets heated up sometimes, so I got my profile covered.
I got you.
No, so when obviously I gotta understand the movie like you mentioned, and that's my whole thing is just like understanding your mind, your boxing knowledge behind your prediction. You know what I'm saying? Because that's so you're saying that I don't really know, right? So that's my point. Educate me on why you believe that outside of saying that anything can happen, because if you feel like, you know, Alberto Puello could get something in the fourth, I could sit here and say, well, look at Subriel Matias got a knockout every victory. I think he can knock him out in the first 10 seconds. But is that realistic? That might not be a realistic prediction, right? So it's like, all right, so what's the movie about? What's the drive behind this movie? You know, what's the purpose behind this movie? So that's what I just want to know, like, what is it? Is it because, you know, you got a certain connection with you know, Alberto Puello that you think that he's gonna get out, or is it because, you know, you don't like how Subriel Matias fights, or what's the knowledge? Because I don't understand the education behind that prediction. It's not to call you out of your name or anything like that. It's just I'm not understanding. I want to understand the movie.
Nobody's saying that that's the prediction. What I'm trying to explain to you is, and you go other routes. I already explained to you how the knockout can come. Right? How the knockout from both sides. In the first 4 rounds, both sides got a chance to knock out. After the fifth round and in the middle of the fight, I think if it get to 6 rounds, it's gonna be like a almost over for Subriel, and people gonna be sad in the stands and all that. Because if we get there, it's gonna be because the Puello's plan is working. It's working. Right? And maybe past 7, like with this with Liam Paro, maybe. But like I said, it's not the prediction. And Dulorme never predict that. Dulorme, the only thing that Dulorme did was believe in his guy and say, my guy can, you can, I think you can knock him out with the training. I give it to you. I give you. But my prediction, if you want to know it, is that it goes to the distance. If it passed 4 rounds, the only way I see knockout is in 4 rounds, Puello. But my prediction is that it's going to a distance. It's going to be a tough fight. And if I was going to predict some, it's a draw.
Okay. A draw?
A draw. I always been saying it. If I was going to predict some, it's a draw. But I see Puello winning by the minimum. Again, convincing the judges and all that. But if you ask me for a prediction, I predict a draw. Is because it's going to be a tough fight, right?
Right.
Where if Puello survive 6-7 rounds, the judges can see it a draw, and we can see a second one in November or in December or something like that, and things like that. So this is in discussion a 50-50 fight, but on paper is 65-35 Puello side because of Puello is longer than Subriel in the. He's taller than Subriel. He got more skills than Subriel, which everybody has, right? And we have to see at 33 years old where Subriel is. If you see the last interview of me and Subriel, Subriel explained to me in there how he feel that, and I put out a reel today about it, how the age for him is a number because he did the MRIs and all that, and he's saying that he's all good and all that. He's selling that, and it's all good, right? But again, we have to see what's going to happen the fight night. Right. And again, I'm here discussing with you all this. It's good, bro. I don't have nothing against you or nothing. For me, it was funny seeing all that. And I'm here to commend you to keep doing what you're doing.
Now, I appreciate you. Listen,
what you're doing.
Listen, I appreciate you. I'm not, by all means, I want you to know that I do respect you, bro. You know, I do have, like I said, it's boxing. I know outside of boxing, you have a family, you know what I'm saying? You got your own thing going on. I got to respect that. That's, I try never to take boxing, taking out of boxing is stupid, right? Because it's a sport. I just question people's take, you know what I'm saying? And I know you said is that your personal opinion for the 70-30 towards Puello? That's just like your personal
65-35. That's it.
That's like your personal, but that's just your opinion, right? That's not like because I know you said because of the reach and all that. But here's what I gotta say. This is just us talking boxing. You know what I'm saying? It's not, and I want you to understand that I'm not coming into this because I don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm confident in my takes. So I'm not trying to, I just want to kind of like get a closer idea of what you mean by 65-35. And it's because of the height situation, you know. And this just to touch.
No.
Okay, no. I just all right, go ahead, clarify. I just want to get
65-35. All tools put together.
All tools put together.
All tools put together, not because of the reach. No. All tools put together. When you do the analysis, and that's why a lot of people around saying it's 50-50, and a lot of people like don't want to certify. Look, a lot of hearts going with Puello and a lot of hearts going with Subriel. That's a fact, 50-50. When you put tools together and expert together, he only say Subriel, and I asked him 20 times in both interviews. And backstage too. I talked to them all today. I just told them a few hours ago, hey, good trip. I see you in New York, right? Now, when you see people analyzing the fight, skill by skill,
I analyze it too. That's what I want to share with you.
The 35% is Subriel will and power. In all the other stuff, right? Subriel has beat 8 or out of the 10 is lefties that he whatever, right? But now the more uncomfortable of the lefties, they went to Puerto Rico and took his belt. Now he is in front of one that is more uncomfortable and bigger than the first dude and skillful than the first dude. The other 8 that he said that he beat, look at who it was, you know. But it can be it can be sailed good, right? But we have to keep it 100, whether people like it or not.
Or not, right? That's your 100.
I know it was a mistake. I know it was your mistake thinking that this Puerto Rican guy, 100% Puerto Rican in the heart, right? It was goofy because you thought it was me talking in that video, right?
No.
But at the end of the day,
I didn't make a mistake.
I still commend you,
but I appreciate you,
respect you, because I know you're trying to do content. I talk about boxing and do content at the same time.
So listen, now
I appreciate that you're taking my lead.
Now, okay.
Now I can listen to you.
Okay, yeah, because you're saying analysis. We do this in the same thing. We do that here too. I analyze it, right? And you're talking about, you're pulling out one fight where he did lose, right? But how about the other fights when he fought an undefeated fighter like Hawkins? And Hawkins was taller and had more reach than Alberto Puello, right? We've seen the success that Gary Antoine Russell was able to get, even though he did lose. But Gary Antoine Russell don't have as much reach as a pressure fighter like Subriel Matias, right? That's another thing. So we've seen that Puello arguably lost against Sandor Martin. We could go back and forth like that the whole time. So that's why I say, like, when it comes to Subriel Matias versus Alberto Puello, it's all perspective, because you're just giving me your perspective of that. I can't sit here and say that that's the fact, like he's more favored to win, because when you match up everything else, you see it's more convincing when you match up fighters that's 18-0, have more knockouts than Alberto Puello. Hawkins was 18-0 with 11 knockouts. After Subriel Matias was done with him, not only did he win every round, but he knocked him out in the 6th round, right? Hawkins was promising at that time. You don't hear about him no more. Why? Because look what happened with Subriel Matias did to him. He came back one time after that, went to a decision with the IBF champion right now, Hitchens. But when he fought him, he did him dirty and everything. Everybody was saying the same thing. He trains with Mayweather. He did all of that. But he lost to Subriel Matias, and he was more lengthier and he was taller than Alberto Puello, and he was also a boxer. So that's what I'm saying. I hear your perspective. But when you I feel like your analyst is coming from a one-sided place. Do you see what I'm saying? It's just saying he fought this guy. But yeah, let's look at Sandor Martin and where he struggled with Sandor Martin. How many big fighters did he really fight? Because a lot of people say that Subriel Matias didn't really fight nobody. But outside Gary Antoine Russell and Sandor Martin, what are the big names that he fought too? He just started getting more respect because of his hardest fights. And those hard fights that he had, he went to split decision with. I see you doing your homework.
No. I'm just listening to you. I'm listening to you. I just want to make sure that I can listen to you. So
watching.
Can, put out your thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna get the other thing too, man. I've been used to OBS, so I just been using OBS.
A lot of people think that well, let me put it this way. You think Malik Hawkins can be compared with a 2-time world champion?
Yeah, if he had the chance to keep going.
No. Hold on.
What?
We got a 2-time world champion in Puello. 2 times world champion, undefeated, southpaw, and you think uncomfortable. So you think Malik Hawkins can be compared with a Puello? Malik Hawkins is a righty, you know, it's a righty, right? It got more reach, right? It got way more reach, which sometimes it make it difficult for him to defend himself in the inside. Puello and Matias is only 1 inch difference, and still Puello is a bigger guy, like not taller. People did confuse Puello bigger.
I think
Matias,
Puello is
right?
Isn't Puello? I think is a little taller, like an inch or something.
Is a little bit taller too, like an inch, right? And it's probably a little bit more. It's just that the measurement in BoxRec sometimes is not accurate. Now, Malik Hawkins it was an uncomfortable guy for himself against a guy that put pressure like Matias, because he's get uncomfortable for a taller guy to taller in the means of like 2-3 inches, like to defend himself against all that pressure, right? And they uncomfortable. They torpes. I don't know what the word for torpe is in English. Let me see. Yeah, just they torpes. So that's the problem. You comparing, and a lot of people saying that's stupidity about Malik Hawkins. No, 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 no. Style makes the
Then
difference.
how can you compare Puello and Pero? Because Pero didn't go with.
No.
But that's what
I'm not comparing
up.
Puello and Paro. I'm comparing their fights. I'm saying
their performances, right?
The performance that they do, and then the way they perform, right? When you look, Puello in the contragolpe, Puello is way better than Liam Paro. Liam Paro did the fight of his life. Liam Paro did the fight of his life, just like Cambosos did with Teofimo. Teofimo did with Lomachenko, just like all those, all those, right? Now, just like Ryan did with Haney, that's a fight, just like the other day, Jala Hafai, whatever his name is, and the Mexican dude, the best fight in his life also. So it's a lot of those, right? Liam Paro got one of those. Now, Puello is proven. Puello can convince the judges in his toughest fights. He can convince the judges in his toughest fights, right? Subriel have not convinced the judges once. He had to go for the knockout. That's what I asked him. Do you depend on the knockout? That's what I can see a draw. And I know how difficult Subriel is. Not a problem, right? But my analysis say that, and knowing what I know, Puello can beat him for the minimum. Puello can convince the judges one more time, because he's the only one that has done it in the difficult fights.
Yeah, I could agree to I could agree to the judging part, because that's a more realistic prediction, a more realistic take. I could agree with that. If it goes to the judges, it's more likely that it could go to Alberto Puello. But the reason why a lot of the fights that Subriel Matias didn't win decision, because he finished the fight before it got to decision, but he was still winning the fight up to he knocked him out. When it comes to Goyas, when it comes to even Malik Hawkins, he was winning the fight before he even went to it had to go to the decision, before he knocked him out. So that's why I can see the draw too. Don't get me wrong, but I do believe that there's a split percentage in there that Subriel could win by decision as well, considering that before he knocked out his opponents, he was winning the rounds.
Bro, if we see this fight, if we are in the 12th round of this fight, right, it's a big possibility that Subriel is just holding punishment, is in there leaving it all, right? It's a big possibility.
No, that's a possibility. Yeah, that's a possibility.
And Puello is just driving in there, just like he did Liam Paro. It's a big possibility, or a draw, or it's a big fight. First half one thing, second half one thing, and the judges don't get together, and it's a draw. But if it passed 7 rounds, some wrong in there. Subriel is in a fight just like Liam Paro.
I don't know. The only reason why, like I said, I don't see it that way is because I feel like once it gets to if it does go to the 12th round, we already seen Subriel Matias dominate before getting knockouts. Who's to say, considering that Alberto Puello's coach Salas already mentioned that if they need to run, they'll run. So if they get hurt, if they get hurt, what makes you believe they won't be running even more? And they might run themselves to survive until the decision. No. So you don't see that happening? Even when they said that they'll run if they need to run? Because think about it. If you need to run and you're hurt, imagine how much you might be, relying on surviving for the rest of the fight, which could favor Subriel Matias in a decision.
Mm-hmm. The longest, let me see. Yeah, well, Dalachev took him to 11 rounds. And I think that's the longest except for the ones that he
Rest
lost.
in peace. Yeah, but
The chef took him to 11 rounds, taking punishment, right? I don't think it's the same. You know what I'm saying? And that was,
but that's when we look.
a few
But
years.
you see how opening your mind to a bigger perspective rather than just saying he's gonna win.
No.
Because that's a realistic. Because honestly, that's a realistic approach. If you're looking at performances, not even matching up fighters, but if you're looking at performances, when we see that Subriel Matias winning, we see that he's winning the fights before the knockout on the fights that he does win. So we already heard that Puello said that they was going to run if they need to. Who's to say that they're not going to run to survive if he was to get hurt, which could give the rounds to Subriel Matias?
What is, again, that the people don't understand what they refer to. They're not saying that he's gonna. They're saying that he's gonna box. That if he need to box, he's gonna box.
Yeah,
and which is boxing. He ain't gonna run. But he's gonna box.
But boxing, when somebody uses the term run, they're not just saying boxing. They're saying they're gonna box off the back foot. See, that's what they say. They're not gonna say that, because if you go box, if somebody says they're gonna run, that means they're gonna be on the back foot.
Sometimes box is not being in the back foot.
I know boxing, you can stay in the pocket.
It don't give him the angles or look for different angles.
If somebody says they're gonna run, bro, if somebody says they're gonna run, that means they're gonna take the back foot. They're not gonna stay in the pocket. If somebody says they're gonna run, if somebody says that they're gonna box, then there's a good chance. Real quick,
they can move. They can put themselves in a different angle.
Lateral movements. That's boxing. But if somebody says run, if somebody says run, that means they're gonna take the back foot.
But they're not gonna run. They're gonna box, which is what they mean in the conversation. If you look at a Crawford and Spence, Crawford basically it was giving in no angles. He was outboxing him and running around and hitting it. Same thing that what's his name, Caballo Bronco Adames did with Shiraz. Same thing, and don't be static in there. Subriel is gonna throw everywhere from every angle, and that's when he can get catch.
Right, but nobody considers that running, bro. That's what I'm trying to tell you. When we consider running is somebody that's not throwing high activity on the back foot like Skull.
All right,
that's what we consider running.
You ain't gonna see Puello doing that.
I hope not. I hope not. But that's what I'm saying. My point is, I'm just using that to prove my point. And if that's what they said, like you're going according to the stuff that you asked Subriel Matias. So I'm going according to what Silas, the coach, said. He said if they need to run, they gonna run. In other words, everybody that does know boxing, because you did say that if you know boxing, when somebody says they're gonna run, they don't mean they're gonna stay in the pocket. You know what I'm saying? They mean either if they use lateral movement, just like Skull did. Skull used lateral movement, but he was running away. You know what I'm saying? That's how people take that, the back foot, and they're utilizing lateral movement to avoid exchanges. That's what people consider running away. That being said, that's my point when I say it's a possibility that if Subriel Matias gets him hurt, there's a good chance that Subriel Matias could coast the rounds by putting the pressure on him and taking the decision. That's a possibility. That's not something that seems to be like, it won't be surprising if that was to happen considering what's being said in these interviews, right? I'm only saying what you're saying too. I'm just utilizing the information that's coming from Puello's team as well. Do you see what I'm saying, Papa?
Yeah, I got you.